The first person spends 20 years saving every single dollar they can. They skip vacations, they avoid buying new clothes, they never eat at expensive restaurants, they proudly watch their savings account grow every month. The second person barely keeps any cash in the bank. Instead, they put almost everything into businesses, stocks, skills, and opportunities that have the potential to make them more money. Now here's the shocking part. 20 years later, the second person is financially free. The first person is still worried about money. How is that possible? We've been told our entire lives that saving money is the secret to becoming rich. Parents teach it, schools teach it, financial experts repeat it over and over again. Save your money, don't spend. Put everything in the bank. It sounds responsible, it sounds safe. But what if that advice is exactly what keeps millions of people trapped? And before you think I'm telling you to spend every dollar you earn, that's not what this video is about. Saving money is important. Everyone should have an emergency fund. The real problem begins when people believe saving alone is the path to becoming wealthy. Because the richest people in the world don't become rich by watching their bank balance grow. They become rich by making their money produce even more money. Once you understand that difference, you'll never look at your paycheck the same way again. Think back to when you were a kid. Almost everyone heard the exact same advice: study hard, get a good job, save your money. At first, that sounds like the perfect plan, until you actually stop and do the math. Imagine saving $500 every single month for 30 years. After decades of discipline, you'd have around $180,000. That sounds impressive, until you realize something nobody talks about. Those 30 years never stop. Food gets more expensive, rent gets more expensive, healthcare gets more expensive. Almost everything around you becomes more expensive, while your money quietly loses purchasing power. That's when you realize the game isn't simply about saving money, it's about staying ahead of inflation. Money sitting still slowly becomes weaker. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a tiny hole in the bottom. You keep pouring water into it, but little by little, it keeps leaking away. Now here's where things become interesting. If saving money alone doesn't create wealth, then what actually does? The answer isn't working harder, it's thinking differently. Imagine you and your friend both receive $1,000. You decide to save every single dollar in your bank account. Your friend spends $200 on an online course, $300 starting a small business, and invests the remaining $500 into assets that have the potential to grow over time. A year later, your bank account still has close to $1,000. Your friend's bank account might actually have less. At first glance, it looks like you made the smarter decision, but look a little closer. Your friend has learned a valuable skill. That skill helps them earn more money every month. Their small business starts bringing in customers. Their investments slowly begin to grow. Suddenly, that original $1,000 isn't just money anymore. It's a machine that's capable of producing even more money. That's the biggest difference between saving and investing. Saving protects money. Investing gives money a job, and the wealthy understand something that most people never realize. Every dollar should either be protecting your future or building it. Money that's simply sitting still isn't creating opportunities, it's waiting. Now, waiting isn't always bad. Everyone should have an emergency fund. Unexpected things happen, cars break down, people lose jobs, medical emergencies appear out of nowhere. Having cash available can save you from making terrible financial decisions during difficult times. But here's where many people stop. They build a safety net, then they mistake it for a ladder. A safety net catches you when you fall. A ladder helps you climb. Those are two completely different things. This is why wealthy people don't ask, "How much money do I have?" They ask, "Where's my money working?" That single question changes everything. Imagine owning a small apartment that generates rent every month, or owning part of a company through investments, or building a YouTube channel that continues earning while you sleep, or creating a digital product that sells over and over again without requiring you to make it from scratch every single day. In each of those examples, money or effort creates something that continues producing value. That's what an asset does. An asset puts money back into your pocket. A liability takes money out. The problem is that many people spend years buying things that look like assets, but behave like liabilities. A brand new luxury car might look successful, but if it's losing value every year while costing you money to maintain, it's not making you richer. The same goes for buying expensive things just to impress people who aren't paying your bills. Status is expensive, wealth is quiet. One is designed to be seen, the other is designed to grow. That's why many millionaires don't always look like millionaires. While everyone else is trying to appear rich, they're busy becoming rich. And that's a huge difference. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you plant two seeds. One seed goes into a glass box where nothing can happen to it. It's perfectly protected. The second seed goes into the ground. It faces rain, wind, heat, cold. For weeks, it looks like absolutely nothing is happening, but eventually, that second seed becomes a tree. The first seed stays exactly the same forever. Money works the same way. Protecting every dollar feels safe, but nothing grows inside a glass box. Growth requires patience, requires uncertainty. Growth requires accepting that not every opportunity will work out exactly as planned. That's why failure isn't always the opposite of success. Sometimes it's simply the price of learning. Most successful entrepreneurs have failed. Many investors have lost money. Business owners make bad decisions. Creators upload videos that nobody watches. But every mistake teaches something that books usually can't. The average person sees failure as proof they should stop. Successful people often see failure as information. That's why they keep improving while everyone else keeps waiting for the perfect moment. And here's the truth. The perfect moment almost never comes. People tell themselves they'll invest when they earn more. They'll start a business after saving enough. They'll learn a new skill next year. They'll take action once life becomes less busy. But life is always busy. There will always be another reason to wait. And while they're waiting, time quietly keeps moving forward. The cost of waiting isn't just lost time, it's lost opportunity. Because every year spent standing still is a year that your future could have been growing. That's why wealthy people understand one principle better than almost anyone else. Time is more valuable than money. You can always earn more money, but you can never earn back the years you spent waiting to use it wisely. And once you truly understand that, you stop asking whether you can afford to invest in yourself. You start asking whether you can afford not to. But maybe you're thinking, that's easy to say if you already have money, and that's a fair point. After all, how are you supposed to invest when you're living paycheck to paycheck? The truth is, the amount of money you have isn't always the biggest factor. There are people who earn six figures every year and still struggle with money, and there are people with average incomes who slowly build incredible wealth over time. The difference isn't always income, it's what happens after the income arrives. Imagine getting a raise tomorrow. Most people immediately start upgrading their lives. A better apartment, a newer car, more expensive clothes, nicer restaurants, bigger monthly payments. At first, it feels like success. You've worked hard, you deserve it. But something strange starts happening. As your income increases, so do your expenses. A year later, you're earning more money than ever before. Yet somehow, you're saving the same amount, or maybe even less. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons high income doesn't automatically create wealth. Every raise becomes another excuse to spend more. Instead of buying freedom, people buy bigger bills. Think about it this way. Imagine two people both receive a $10,000 raise. The first person upgrades their entire lifestyle. The second person keeps living almost exactly the same while investing most of the extra income. 5 years later, their lives look completely different. One has nicer things. The other has growing assets. One owns expensive possessions. The other owns income-producing opportunities. The scary part is that from the outside, the first person often looks richer. They're driving the luxury car, wearing the expensive watch, living in the larger house. Meanwhile, the second person may look completely ordinary. But appearances can be incredibly misleading. Real wealth is what you don't see. It's the investments quietly growing in the background. It's the business generating income while the owner sleeps. It's the skills that make someone valuable no matter what happens to the economy. It's the freedom to say no because you aren't desperate for your next paycheck. That's wealth. And freedom is much harder to notice than flashy success. Here's another mistake that quietly keeps people poor. Many people spend hours trying to save a few dollars. They'll drive across town to save a small amount on groceries. They'll spend weeks comparing tiny discounts. But they won't spend those same hours learning a skill that could increase their income for years. Sometimes we become so focused on saving pennies. That's why successful people often treat learning as one of the best investments they'll ever make. Because skills can't be taken away by inflation. They can't disappear because the stock market has a bad month. If you know how to solve valuable problems, people will continue paying you. Think about every successful entrepreneur, engineer, designer, programmer, salesperson, or creator. They aren't paid because time passes. They're paid because they create value. Money follows value, not the other way around. That's why focusing only on money is often the wrong goal. Focus on becoming more valuable. Money usually follows. And maybe that's the biggest mindset shift of all. Poor people often ask, how much does this cost? Wealthy people are more likely to ask, what is this worth? Those sound similar, but they lead to completely different decisions. A book might cost $20, but if one idea inside that book helps someone earn an extra $20,000 over the next few years, was it really a $20 purchase? Or was it one of the highest return investments they ever made? The same applies to courses, mentors, experiences, business ideas, even failures. Everything should be judged by the value it creates, not just the price you pay today. Because the people who only see costs usually miss opportunities, and the people who learn to recognize value often create opportunities that everyone else overlooks. That's when money stops becoming something you chase. Instead, it becomes something you're capable of creating. And maybe that's the lesson most people never hear. Becoming wealthy isn't about finding one perfect investment. It isn't about getting lucky. And it definitely isn't about saving every single dollar until one day you magically become rich. Real wealth is built through thousands of small decisions. The decision to learn instead of endlessly scrolling. The decision to build instead of simply consume. The decision to buy assets before buying status. The decision to think long-term while everyone else is chasing short-term comfort. Those decisions don't seem important on a random Tuesday afternoon, but over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they become impossible to ignore. Success rarely arrives all at once. It compounds, just like interest, just like knowledge, just like experience, and just like good habits. That's why two people can start in exactly the same place and end up living completely different lives. Not because one was smarter, not because one was luckier, but because one understood something the other never did. Money is a tool, nothing more. If you leave a tool sitting in a box forever, it never builds anything. It only collects dust. Money works the same way. Every dollar you earn gives you a choice. You can spend it to impress people. You can save it so you're protected when life becomes difficult. Or you can invest it in businesses, skills, ideas, or assets that have the potential to create an even better future. The wealthiest people don't make perfect decisions every single time. They make enough good decisions over a long enough period that the results begin to compound. That's the real secret. Consistency beats intensity. Small actions repeated for years will almost always outperform big actions that only happen once. And maybe that's why so many people never become financially free. They're looking for one life-changing opportunity, one lucky investment, one perfect business idea, one shortcut. But wealth usually isn't built in one moment. It's built in ordinary moments that nobody else pays attention to. Reading one more chapter, learning one more skill, making one more investment, taking one more calculated risk. Improving by just 1% every single day. Those tiny decisions seem invisible today, but eventually, they become your future. Now think back to the two people we talked about at the very beginning. One believed the goal was to protect every dollar. The other believed the goal was to teach every dollar how to multiply. Years passed. Both worked hard. Both earned money. But only one understood that money should never be the destination. It should be the employee, working day and night to build a life where time is no longer traded for every paycheck. That's what financial freedom really means. It's not having the biggest house, or the most expensive car, or the newest watch. It's having the freedom to choose how you spend your time, to work because you want to, not because you have to. Does saving money keep you poor? Not exactly. Saving money is important. It can protect you during life's hardest moments. But if all you ever do is save, without learning, without investing, without increasing your ability to create value, then your money will spend its entire life sitting still, and so will you. The goal was never to become the person with the biggest savings account. The goal was to become the kind of person who can create wealth again and again, no matter what happens. Because once you have that ability, nobody can ever take it away from you. And that's the difference between someone who has money and someone who knows how to build it. Before you go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think saving money is enough to build wealth, or do you believe investing and building skills matter more? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.